to go?
Yeah. Okay.
Great. Yeah, thank you for taking the time to let me present on our project, VizField, which is a VR-based smartphone app for visual field testing. Essentially, I'm from SFU, Biomedical Engineering, and there's other collaborators. So Dr. George Medvedev from Royal Columbia Hospital and Professor Ghassan Hamarni from SFU Computer Science. And so, to begin, glaucoma is one of the leading causes of blindness for patients over 60. About 3 million people, or 3 million Americans have glaucoma, and there's no cure for it, but if we catch it early, there's things that we can do to prevent further vision loss. And so, visual field testing is a method to monitor vision loss for glaucoma. However, there's a lot of studies that show that the recommended frequency of testing is not really being met, and so that could be an issue. And so what is visual field testing? Just so we all know, essentially it's a machine like this. A light flashes in different locations. If you see the light, you press a button. If you don't see it, just leave it alone. And from that, we can sort of map your visual field. So what you can see, what you can't see. So if we take a look at current devices, sort of big, bulky, you can't really move it. You're going to need an isolated room that's dark for the patient to comfortably take the test. The patient also needs to have their head sort of there for long periods of time, not really comfortable, straining their neck. And these machines are also kind of costly, so around $40,000 for one of these. So what is our solution? Well, quite simply, what we want to do is replicate this device in the VR environment. So why? Because in a VR environment, we already have the natural darkness. All we need is a smartphone and a Bluetooth controller, and we should be able to do this. And so in comparison to those big, bulky machines, obviously this is going to be less expensive. It's portable. VR headsets like this, you just put this in your bag, whatever. You have your phone, usually on you. And as I said, because it's dark in the VR headset, you can sort of perform it anywhere you want. So sort of what is the development process? I'm the only one here today. I'm not sure if Dr. Medvedev will make it later on, but certainly he is a big part of this project, him and I. It's a collaboration project. So for me, it was learning about the clinical aspects of this project. What exactly is a visual field machine? How does it work? And developing a prototype with just getting lights to flash at random places, getting an input, so a controller to work, and from there, refining this product. So I actually had the chance to go to another doctor's office, Dr. Ershine, which is an ophthalmology clinic, and give it a test run, see what it's like, right? And compare. Oh, something's not quite right with my product, let's get that fixed. And then once everything's sort of good, we went into clinical testing, preliminary clinical testing with actual patients. And from there, getting feedback, refining the product some more, and going from there. And so, taking a look at some results and some clinical trials that we did, or patient trials rather. On the left, you sort of have the gold standard visual field, and on the right, you have the gold standard, and on the left, you have our product. So these black spots here are actually the natural blind spots associated with the nerve bundles going into the eye. So this is exactly what we would expect from a normal patient. And so now we move on to a patient with a visual defect. And so on the left eye, we see the same natural blind spot. And on the right eye, we see this sort of half or hemi vision loss. So we're able to capture sort of the general pattern, which is good. So what are some of the good aspects or some things that we got from patients that's great about this? Well, it's much more comfortable. You don't have to have your head permanently stuck there just watching a light flash, right? You can sit comfortably, have the VR headset, sit back, make postural adjustments, and that's good. And sort of a side effect, or a good thing that we didn't realize, is a lot of patients also said this is less stressful, more like a game. And so certainly we know that stress plays a factor in test results. And so if we can eliminate some stress, that's definitely good. And it makes it an enjoyable experience for the patient. So where do we see this actually being used? Well, the first motivation is sort of virtual healthcare, remote applications. And so as we said before, glaucoma patients, they don't really test very frequently. And so if they have a VR headset, they can test more frequently. Persistent testing means better prediction of outcomes, more information, so we can sort of help them get back on their feet or anything like that, or prescribe any sort of remedies. And so this is really, in a way, helping with the efficiencies of the healthcare system. And so the patient doesn't have to travel to a clinic and back. A doctor doesn't have to schedule someone to come in, right? So we're really getting rid of any inefficiencies that's associated with travel. Second motivation is remote cities and countries. So could you imagine being a physician and you're carrying this big machine around? Obviously not possible, right? So, but imagine carrying this. This, you probably have your phone on you already, and all you need is a small Bluetooth controller. That's it, right? Much more simple. And so this sort of bridged the gap for sort of low socioeconomical places to get the same or a similar standard of care. And the final one is bedside testing. So we have patients with stroke. Obviously, we can't really bring them to the machine. We can't really expect them to sit there for a long time. So why don't we bring the machine to the patient while they're on bedside, so they can test in a comfortable position, whatever's comfortable for them. And so finally, sort of, how do we really get this thing running? What is our vision here? And so the first is, obviously, with all medical sort of diagnostics or testing devices, you need to complete a clinical trial. And so we're sort of in the process of getting the ethics underway of doing that. And so once we have that, well, this is a software application. So it's low cost to push out, which is good. And from there, if we have something that's actually usable and we can get data, perhaps we can even implement computerized decision support, which could be good. Maybe we can predict how their vision is digressing. And finally, we can compile a visual testing suite, so we can add other visual testing tests, such as color contrast sensitivity. And there's sort of a variety of other tests that can be performed on a phone. And hopefully, from there, we can change the future of vision testing. And so that's it for me. I guess in the interest of time, it doesn't really make sense to take a test, but I can pass this around, and you can kind of see the environment that it's in. Like,
We have time.
okay.
Yeah, very good. That was good.